someone like the players. In this case, a man named Scott Weiss. In the final Jeopardy round, both second and third place players had $8,000. Scott had a little over $12,000. And the players made their bid before they heard the question. We all know the routine, but you could see something on Scott's face. He was calculating the possibilities of a three-way tie, and he was growing with excitement over the idea. So often we know that on Jeopardy, sometimes people bid enough so that they get a victory of $1. It is, after all, a competition. But Scott bet exactly enough money so if the other two players both bet their entire $8,000 and got the question right, then all three would finish with $16,000. And that's exactly what happened. Scott forfeited his victory so that all three players could be winners. It was a moment of pure joy made possible by a bold act of generosity and graciousness. This week we read about Mary's bold act, and we are reminded that there are opportunities all around us to open our hearts and to do extraordinary things. There is a story about an outcry that was sparked at a stewardship conference where they were discussing generosity. One presenter spoke about offering a gift directly to God, and the clergy began to yawn. Then he pulled a $100 bill from his wallet, set it on fire in an ashtray, and prayed, "Lord, I offer this gift to you and you alone." The reaction was, well, electric, if you will. The clergy began to fidget in their chairs, watching that money go up in smoke as if it were perfume. One whispered he thought it was illegal to burn currency. Another was heard to murmur, if he is giving money away, perhaps he has some more. And then he says, "Do you not understand? I am offering it to God, and that means it is now useless to the rest of us." It was an anxious moment. We humans, no doubt, have developed a utilitarian approach to giving. Some prefer to earmark their contributions. Some donors give for the impact of the gift, the name recognition with the accompanying plaque and the sizable tax deduction. Givers often designate their benevolence, but a true gift cannot be controlled. Mary poured all of her perfume on Jesus. We can speculate on her reasons, particularly when we hear the description of how she wiped his feet with her hair. Because of the literary context, we can surmise she felt gratitude for raising her brother Lazarus. And in the Gospel of John, the raising of Lazarus from the dead is what begins the plot against Jesus. Curiously, Jesus does not take issue with the temporary nature of the gift. He declares it as appropriate in the moment, particularly in light of his impending death. He is gracious enough to receive it with gratitude. Now, we all give extravagant gifts that are often put into the air where they soon evaporate. A church choir labors to prepare an intricate anthem, and 3 minutes later, it is gone. The teacher prepares a lesson, stands to deliver it, and then the class is over. Mourners provide large arrangements of flowers to honor those whom they grieve. Saints donate large sums of money for their congregations to spend. Why do they do this? Love has its reasons. To reflect on the miracle of generosity will lead us to reflect on Jesus. Throughout the fourth gospel, Jesus provides blessed abundance. At Cana, 100 gallons of new wine is created. 5,000 hungry are fed by the Sea of Galilee with 12 baskets of leftovers remaining. And after fishing all night without results, Simon Peter is instructed by the risen Christ to cast his net on the other side of the boat. And immediately, 153 large fish begin jumping into the net. John reminds us that Jesus is the one through whom everything is made. There is abundance whenever and wherever he is present. As Mary generously anoints him, he tells her critics to leave her alone. Generosity breeds generosity. Judas can criticize Mary for what she has done, but the story exposes his hypocrisy. Either we love generously or we do not. Either we are already engaged in providing for the poor or we are secretly hoarding what might otherwise be shared. Much of modern religion focuses only what is useful, practical, and cost-effective. Concern for austerity arises when resources seem slim. Yet when it comes to the life of faith, we soon discover our hearts are diminished when the budget is our first concern. Should we live spendthrift lives as the older son in the story last week of the prodigal? No. Can we justify the wasting of God's gifts? No. However, long before a gift can be wasted, it must first be received. Jesus is the gift of God. According to John's Gospel, Jesus is sent into a world that did not request him. Yet he acts entirely for the world's benefit. He consistently acts on his own terms, always revealing the grace and truth of God. Lazarus was raised from the dead on Jesus' timetable, not in response to his sister's wishes. Similarly, Jesus will lay down his life for his people, not because he is asked to do so, but because he chooses to. Episcopal priest Barbara Brown Taylor says it like this: like the bottle of perfume, Jesus' precious life was not meant to be saved. It was going to be opened, offered, and used at a great price. It will be raised up and poured out for all humankind, emptied to the last drop. So as in all Bible stories, I think it is often a challenge for us to find out who we identify in the scene, and this time, the scene at Bethany. Are you with the shameless Mary, worshiping Jesus with everything she's got, risking the wrath and anger of her sister and men who perhaps don't quite trust their feelings when a woman lets down her hair in public, and the sneer of a person who knows the price of everything, yet the value of nothing? Or are you with the reliable, prudent, and cautious Judas, looking after the meager resources of a group without a steady income, outwardly showing a concern for the poor, but really motivated by something else? I would encourage us all to put aside our natural inclination to distance ourselves from Judas. Is it just possible that we might see a slight glimpse of him when we look in our own mirrors? Judas reminds us all too well how we are to receive and give to those around us, extravagantly and graciously. For we are offering it to God. And that means it is going to cease to be useful to the rest of us.